Right, Bitcoin.
Yo.
Welcome. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm doing good. How you doing, Peter?
Yeah, I'm good. Doing good, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, my great pleasure.
It's a bit surreal for us.
Yeah.
It's kind of reminds me of when we did the Berkoe interview.
I love that episode, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a real pleasure to be here.
I was probably as nervous for that one as this one.
wait, you're not nervous?
Well, I'm meeting Bitcoin. I mean, it's the first time. Yeah, he was my first president.
Is it your first time?
First time meeting Bitcoin.
Okay, all right. Oh, you know what? I've made a lot of people nervous for that very reason.
Listen,
Right?
we're the first one to have Bitcoin on the show. And that's we feel privileged, right?
You should.
But we have got some questions for you, man.
All right, go for it.
So we don't know anything about your past. We don't know about your childhood, about growing up.
Oh, man.
I only got to know you about 8 years ago. I read about you.
Yeah.
Got involved with you.
Yep. The tabloids, of course. I'm kidding.
I heard some stories about you. I heard you like milk, heard you like pigeons.
Oh, my God. I can't get enough of them. Yeah, so, I grew up in New York. I'm on the east side, Lower East Side, where I live now. And I don't know, I guess my past is simple, like most kids, I had my issues, my social issues, social anxiety. I wasn't breastfed, so I think that might have something to do with my therapist says that's why I'm so obsessed with the white stuff, you know what I mean? But
what was it like growing up in New York? Because you're a bit different from most kids, right?
Listen, New York in the late 50s, early 60s. It was a very different place, first of all. Okay. So, it was a different time. It was a simpler time. Definitely different than the other kids. But, we all get picked on. So I'm no victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what were they picking on you for?
Honestly,
was it the red hair?
what were they picking on me for? Honestly, that's a good point. It might have been my red hair. A lot of redheads get picked on,
You're the Ed Sheeran of cryptocurrencies.
That too. How about you? Did you get picked on as a kid?
Yeah, I did.
What did they pick on you for?
I was from a little poor suburb of Bedford called Kempston.
Oh, that'll do it right there, Kempston. Okay.
They said I grew up in a wheelie bin. They did. They made a song up about it.
Oh, really? What? Okay, wait, we got to do the song, please. What's it?
I'm not going to sing it, but it was.
You got to sing it.
It was on the rugby coach,
Danny.
And in the style of "We all live in a yellow submarine," they would sing "We all live in a yellow wheelie bin," and then say my name. It's a true story.
Wow. You know what? I don't want to re-traumatize you by making you reenact that, but it does sound hilarious.
I can't sing it,
Danny. It's pretty funny, right?
It's pretty funny.
I might cry if I sing it. Brings up, but then I fucking proved these guys wrong. I was going to make money.
There you go. Is that what that where your drive comes from?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, prove them wrong.
I can see that.
Kid from Kempston, come good.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I guess I got some of that in me too. People don't understand me. Okay, people do not get me, and I have to. I got to contend with that every day. People think that I'm here to make them money. I'm just here to make money better. You know what I mean? Like, why is that so difficult to? Speaking of which, can't believe you guys have this thing sitting here.
Why not?
Really?
Well, we wanted to know you're valued.
How do you think that feels? How do you think that feels, Peter?
Fucking Danny's idea.
Danny.
Fucking MVK.
Danny.
MVK. Bitcoin, you and I have got something in common, man. So I get a lot of shit online, and you get a lot of shit online.
I got a lot of shit online, man.
I see you take shit. Actually, you get it worse than me. I just get it on Twitter or in the YouTube comments. You get it from the New York Times. You get it from the Wall Street Post?
That's right. The Wall Street Post comes out. The New Yorker.
Yeah, they all come after you all the time. They said you're boiling the oceans.
I'm like, what do I have to? What do I have against the oceans? You know what I mean? I can barely boil water. Anyway, yeah, it's rough, man.
How do you deal with it all? It's like a lot of pressure.
You know what I do? I take a deep breath. In through my nose, out through my mouth. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Really? I just do that all day. try to take it easy. You know, I try not to be too hard on myself. I try to remember that people don't get me. And that's not my fault. People don't get me, you know? I've got a good therapist. That helps. She's the one who taught me to breathe. I got good friends, you know, like my girl Haley over here. You know, like
So why do you think people don't get you?
Can we rephrase the question? What don't people get about me? What don't people get? People don't get me because of their own concerns with their own self-worth. You know? I think people have low self-esteem and they want to feel more valuable. They want to feel like they've got something of value. And then they want to know how much your value is. I'm like, you know, if you valued yourself, maybe we wouldn't be talking about numbers right now. Maybe we'd be talking about our purpose in life. And my purpose is to make life easier. You know what I'm saying? You get it. You feel me, right?
Hey, listen, you've made my life easier. I get it.
Can we talk about that for a second? Can we please post about that? How have I made your life easier?
Well, I mean, you gave me purpose. I met my boy Danny because of you. And Danny's like one of my best friends in the world now.
Well, Dan, I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Danny, right?
And that wouldn't happen without you. I bought my local football team because of you. I put you on our shirt. Do you know you're on our shirt?
I do.
Yeah, see?
Honestly, first of all, I'm honored. Thank you for that acknowledgement. I really, you know, I'm here to make a difference, and I'm glad I made a difference with you.
Oh, you did it for all of us, though. Yeah, we've been lucky with doing this job to travel around. We've met some great people. We've been privileged to interview some great people, but to finally get a chance to sit down with you, it's like this is a big deal for us.
It's an important moment.
You wouldn't understand how big a moment this. Like we've been talking about this for weeks. Like we don't want to fuck it up. Want to make sure you had a good time. Like we respect you, respect your time. We understand it's exclusive, and so this is a big deal for me and Danny.
You know, you've already fucked it up. You've already fucked it up because you haven't brought my girl Haley into the mix. Haley, come on.
Haley, come sit down.
Come here, get in here, girl.
Come on, Haley, get down.
And Steve, what about Steve? Come on, let's get Steve in here. Come on, hey,
come on, Steve.
Good to see you.
Come on.
That's right. Bring it in.
Listen, a couple of questions before we go.
Okay.
All right, what are you going to be doing this weekend in LA?
Oh man, I got so many things to do in LA. What did we talk about? I'm gonna go to the Santa Monica Pier, first of all. I love kettle corn, so I'm gonna get some of that. And mostly pigeon hunting. I'm gonna go feed the pigeons, if you know what I mean.
Danny.
And I'm gonna go feed the pigeons, if you know what I mean.
Someone's hungry.
We were meant to get you a pigeon. That's Danny's fault as well.
I got my milk ready to go. I was gonna have a Muku burger. And have a little Muku moment here, but I'll have to save that for later, right, Haley? Okay.
Okay, last question.
All right, let's go. Go ahead.
Can you tell me what Bitcoin did?
Let me tell you something about Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin changed lives. One life, one number, one sat at a time. That is what Bitcoin did.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Love you. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, thanks, Haley. See you later, okay? All right, call me.
Anyway, we're here to talk about marketing and the world of Bitcoin. Everyone knows Steve, so we won't allow him to do a grand introduction. He's been on the show a bunch of times before. But Haley, not everyone will know you on our show, so please introduce yourself. Let everyone know what you do and how you know this fine specimen of a man.
Well, he's my boss. But yeah, I'm Haley. I'm on the Spiral team. I've been on the team for about 2.5 years. I'm a program manager, and I help out with content creation, project management, some of the different Spiral initiatives that we do, get involved with various open source projects, helping them in kind of a non-technical capacity.
And explain what Spiral is for anyone who doesn't know. I know.
Spiral is a not-for-profit Bitcoin open source initiative at Block. So we have a really small team, and the full-time engineers work on the Lightning Development Kit. And then we also have a grant program where we fund dozens of developers and designers and educators across the world, so people can apply for a grant if they're working on an open source project.
And Steve, how would you explain Spiral to people? Like the ethos of Spiral and the reason you exist?
I just point them to Haley. No, I mean, what she said, but also, why do we exist? I think Block, the company, has a strong belief and conviction on Bitcoin, that Bitcoin's going to be a big part of the future for the world, but also be a big opportunity for Block. And fortunately for us, the people on Spiral, I think Block and Jack Dorsey in particular are very authentic in wanting Bitcoin to succeed and, doing it both for the good of the company, but truly wanting to see it just create value for everyone in society and other companies. And so Spiral is really an embodiment of that. Everyone on our team is on Team Bitcoin, not Team Block. We help, there are teams at Block that use the software we create, and we help them out, but we help out many other companies in the space as well, including competitors to Block. So we're very fortunate. People on Spiral are very fortunate to do what we get to do.
It's such a weird world though, right? Whereby you've got companies with this kind of commercial interest, and yet there's this backbone of this kind of ideological belief that there's this better form of money that you're all on the same team for.
Yeah.
So that exists within us doing this, with what you do, with almost anyone in the space.
I love it. It's one of the joys of this job and working in Bitcoin is that everyone has a common bond of Bitcoin. We want Bitcoin to succeed. Everyone might have their own variation of what they think Bitcoin will become or what it is, but there's enough common base to bring people together. So I'm constantly seeing like new opportunities, new projects, new ideas that need to be created. And you can reach out to people who are volunteers, people from other companies, other organizations, and come together, do a project, and then disband. And you just keep doing that over and over again. It's much more enjoyable than just working for a company and you only work with coworkers at that company, like the traditional job. It's fantastic.
And Haley, did you join as a Bitcoiner or did you get converted into a Bitcoiner?
I knew a little bit about Bitcoin before, but I was on a different team at Block.
Okay.
And then I met Steve, and Steve used to go around to different teams and give the Hello Bitcoin presentation. So I learned more about Bitcoin from Steve, got interested, and then ended up moving over internally to the team at Spiral. And then I went way down the rabbit hole, and now I know a lot about Bitcoin.
Her story is great. I think it should be an inspiration for others too. Yeah. Like people are like maybe intrigued by Bitcoin, want to learn more about it. How do I get into Bitcoin? I liked the audacity of Haley we had worked on one project together, so we knew each other, but hadn't really worked together. And she just reached out and said, "Hey, I want to work. I want to learn more about your team. I want to work on your team." We didn't have an open role. But I had a positive impression of her from the prior project I'd worked on. And she, everyone else we'd hired to that point was a long time Bitcoiner like Matt Corallo and people like that. And I was intrigued by here's someone who, she seemed genuinely interested in learning more about Bitcoin. So I thought it was a good experiment for Spiral too, to have someone join that was more new to Bitcoin. And it would help us do things, whether it be through software or creative content, be more relatable to a broader audience, which I think is one thing we're going to talk about today.
So you just took a leap of faith?
Yeah. I just pinged him. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for a new role. I don't know much about Bitcoin, but I'm really interested in learning more. Like, here are my strengths. Would you ever consider bringing someone less technical onto the team? And then we started talking, and then the first project I worked on was a research project about how women across the world view Bitcoin, and that was something that Steve had felt very passionate about that our team should do. So that was kind of a year-long research project. So that was a really fun way to get to talk to people all over the world who both Bitcoiners, but then also interview women who had never used Bitcoin before and kind of learn why they think about why they have certain perceptions about Bitcoin. So I learned a lot. And
all right, I know it was a year-long research project, but what's the TLDR? What came out of it? Because I'm the same, right? I'm interested. Me and Danny are always conscious that I've told this on the podcast previously, but I was dating this girl. She came to my house, and she wanted to know more about the podcast, and I put it up on YouTube, up on the TV, and she was like, "Oh, it's all dudes." I was like, "Huh, tell me about that." And she said, "I mean, there were some girls on it, but I said, tell me about that." And she said, "Well, I'm divorced, and my divorce, my husband hid all the money from me and took all the money. I don't want to learn about money from men. I want to learn about it from women." I was like, "Huh, okay." So we make a conscious effort now to try, and this word triggers Bitcoin people, and I think it's ridiculous, but try and be more diverse with what we do because we want to relate to the audience, meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
It triggers people, but I think it shouldn't. And so I'd love to know the TLDR of what you found.
Yeah, it was so basically we specifically talked to women outside of the US. So it was all like emerging markets. And it's really interesting to talk to people like not in the US and how they kind of view Bitcoin. And we definitely heard a little bit about, like it's for rich tech bros, but mostly people were thinking that Bitcoin was just for like rich people in general and that the price of Bitcoin made it like feel inaccessible and that the biggest barrier was just like the amount of research they had to do to get to that point where they would purchase Bitcoin. So that kind of, and it was interesting. We talked to women and then we ended up running a survey where we surveyed both men and women to see if their perceptions were different, and they were fairly similar.
Mostly the same.
Yeah, mostly the same.
And in fact, Block has also done a couple of research studies and just published one in the past few days, which a couple of really interesting insights from it. And one is that in India, there are 4 times more women than men who own Bitcoin.
Wow.
Really?
13% of Indian women own Bitcoin and 4% of men.
Why is that?
I don't know why. And I don't think that research team knows why either. But the methodology I think is sound. So it's a very surprising insight. And there were 15 countries that were surveyed. India was the outlier case for that. Although even in other countries, it's not, I forget the exact gender breakdown per country, but there are other surprising results. But India is like the one that's almost hard to believe.
That is fascinating.
So I think we, whether you're in California like we are right now, or UK, we might have certain impressions of who owns Bitcoin, and it might be like the table we're at right now, where it's 3/4 men and 1/4 women. But I don't think that's the case in other countries.
I mean, you could come up with various theses of why it's more women. You'd have to understand the role of money for women in India.
Mm-hmm.
Are they in charge of the home income? Do they manage the money? Is it because I know, for example, I don't know if you've been to India, but when I went out there's a lot of jewelry shops because of the way they store wealth is to buy gold and they wear it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a well-known story, but you go out there and see it. But it's mainly the women wearing the gold that I saw. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I saw. So It's maybe they're holding the wealth. Maybe that's that natural step. I don't know. I mean, somebody might be listening from India and go, "No, you dummy, it's this other reason." But
yeah, I'd love to see someone follow up on that.
we should go to India, Danny.
Yeah,
just go to India.
I think you should.
So I guess Haley, you joined in the team. When you did join the team, you were surrounded by a lot of like old Bitcoin nerds who think in the old Bitcoin nerdy way, and I guess that must have been. Yeah, it must have been difficult first for you to kind of break in, but at the same time, I'm guessing you brought a different way of thinking about things that you guys hadn't thought about, a fresher, more. I think sometimes some Bitcoiners don't appreciate the knowledge they've accumulated and how far away they are from normal people. And so, were you able to try and get people to dial it back and understand that not everyone thinks like them?
I feel like when I first joined the team, like I just got really excited, especially as I was learning a lot. And I was like, we just need to teach people. And I was like, get all these like big ideas. And I think a lot of people on the team, since they had been in Bitcoin for a while, were already kind of like burnt out on like trying to educate people about Bitcoin. Since, there's been so many different initiatives. So I did a little bit like internally at Blocked, like different kind of experiments per se of like what would help. But yeah, this is why I'm like super excited about this project because we took a really different approach. And like there definitely is credibility for people to feel burnt out on like trying to educate people and it just spending so much time and then it not,
Okay, let's get into that. Obviously, we've just had Bitcoin on.
Yes.
The orange Bitcoin we've just had on. So people will obviously see that we've done that kind of skit to get this going, to introduce people. But there is also a full 9-minute video people can go and watch. We'll put it in the show notes and let them see it. What was the background to doing this? Like, why did you do it? What's the research that led to it? And what's your goal?
The why we did this video is like we just, everyone on our team has been in Bitcoin a while and kind of, read a lot of the books and spent a lot of time looking through different educational content. And there's like really great content out there. But we felt like the educational content could be a bit friendlier and funnier and just more accessible in terms of like what platforms it's on with social media. Just have a little bit more of like a creative marketing flair per se. So we were just kind of brainstorming different ideas of like how that could happen. And then there's a Spiral newsletter, and this actually started off as a joke where we kind of were talking about this big 7-foot-tall Bitcoin puppet, and then we ended up having that come to life. And
we also this will be our second film.
Yes.
Yeah.
About a couple of years ago, we did our first film, which was about LDK, Lightning Development Kit. And that also introduced a puppet. So we gained some puppet experience.
We took puppets seriously.
Yeah, and that was Puppet Jack, a puppet version of Jack Dorsey, in which he voiced it over. And I thought it was really well done. Good film, high quality. The topic, though, was LDK, which is very niche. It's technical, it's software, it's technical, and even within the software world, it's very, very niche. So, it didn't get as much awareness and eyeballs as maybe that match the quality of it. I think we're hopeful with this one that it'll reach, this one is not about Spiral, not about LDK. It's about Bitcoin. So we think it'll be appealing to a very wide audience.
But from your perspective of creating this, what is it you're trying to solve? What are the problems that you've seen that you think this solves?
I think if you look, there's ample content out there to educate people on Bitcoin, but most of it, you mentioned a few minutes ago on the show that, people who have been in Bitcoin a long time assume a bunch of things. And that's not just technical knowledge, but it's also the farther down the journey you go in Bitcoin, you tend to appreciate things like financial privacy, separation of money from state,
which itself is a huge concept.
Libertarian ideas like central banking ills. And you start to appreciate that more and more over time. But most human beings, I think, if you start at any of those touch points, it sounds pretty extreme. And
they think you're a psycho.
They think you're a psycho. It's not really top of mind for most people. So we saw an opportunity to have, something that is accessible and like a touch point that is more relatable to people to start them on a Bitcoin journey. So we want this film to be appealing to people who are not hardcore Bitcoiners. Maybe they're not even Bitcoiners yet. Most people have heard of Bitcoin around the world, but their perception might be just from a few headlines, and those headlines are often misleading or just frankly untrue. So hopefully this is a way to educate people on some basic facts around Bitcoin in a way that is entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a few barriers. I definitely agree with you that there are headlines that people see that are misleading. Yeah, the FUD, whether it's to do with energy or used by criminals, all this crap we've heard before. I think that is one. I also think some people don't. It's too big a concept to get your head around the idea that I have my pounds or dollars. Oh, but no, I need to move on to this new thing called Bitcoin. I don't think people realize what that leap means. And to get them from A to B is such a huge jump that is selling them on the concepts of why money is broken is really difficult. So I think that exists as well. And a lot of people don't realize or don't think they need it. And that becomes evident as you go to more screwed up countries, like I've traveled to a lot now, it's very easy to explain Bitcoin in Argentina and Lebanon and places, Venezuela. It's really easy. It's very hard in the US and the UK. So I think there's a whole bunch of barriers you've got to get over.
I also think, I mean, a goal with this film is that it's shareable content for your friends and family who ask about Bitcoin. And I think it fills a void. There's plenty of content that exists, but if you point people to like crypto or Bitcoin Twitter, or a lot of the articles that are written and stuff, it's pretty hardcore. People will say it's toxic. And for a certain audience, it's appealing, but for most people, it actually can turn them off. So this hopefully, and then there's like work by Alex Gladstein, which is very high quality and really good work. I think that's refreshing. But even that, it's not light. It's actually really heavy subjects, important subjects, but heavy. So I think this fills a void where it's light, it's funny, doesn't take itself too seriously, but still gets to some educational points about Bitcoin as well.
Did you notice this toxicity side of Bitcoin when you came in, and like how long did it take you to be aware of what it is, and what was that like for you? Because I always think it's kind of interesting because I have this weird kind of like relationship with toxicity in that I think it's really annoying and also at certain times really useful. But what was it like for you to, because you seem like a really nice person. And I'm really sorry if any Bitcoin has been a dick to you.
I feel like I had a very unique entrance into the Bitcoin ecosystem. One, being part of Spiral and just having a lot of longtime Bitcoiners like kind of helping me out, or getting to meet people in person definitely helped, or virtual at the time. But
you're also surrounded by like the good guys as well.
Yeah, so I think that
you
helped.
Got Steve, you got Jack, you got Connor.
Everyone's very nice with me.
Yeah, it's a good group.
Yeah. And then also the research project like forced me to like network with a lot of people right off the bat. So I just automatically met mostly women, honestly, in the space like really soon into my Bitcoin journey. So that was kind of, and it's just probably not, normal to be like, oh, I know like a bunch of women in the Bitcoin space and I just started. It was like very energizing. So it was kind of, I didn't immediately feel like the toxicity. If that makes sense.
Well, the women aren't really toxic. You don't see the women in Bitcoin getting into these dumb, stupid fights about eating steak and ending the state, and you don't see that. You see much more rational conversations. But do you think that's something that maybe puts women off? Then, do you think that's maybe where the bro thing comes from? Like, are we all idiots?
Are we the bad guys?
Are we the bad guys?
Well, in terms of just my own anecdotal evidence, there's a lot of people, both men and women, who are turned off by it. Yeah. So I'm convinced of that. My own personal opinion, I'm glad sort of that toxic element exists. I mean, maybe we're similar, Peter, in terms of our views. I don't think, I think it's better. We're better off with it because it does help defend some of the core principles of Bitcoin and also contrast it with other approaches to cryptocurrency. But it definitely does not appeal to everyone. And I'd say like the majority of people, it does not appeal to. So I think there's a huge opportunity in new content, new media, new shows that can reach broader audiences.
Yeah. And just an opportunity for people to know that like they don't have to like, eat meat to be a Bitcoiner, like that there are various different people who are into Bitcoin. It's not like one singular personality that's on Twitter.
Matt Corello's a vegan.
Yep.
Matt Corello's a vegan. Yeah.
And he's healthy. So look, I'm totally with you. I'm trying to see Bitcoin through the lens of it's like its whole journey. And so I wasn't around in 2009, 2010. I can't remember when you told me you started, but
2017.
Oh, so you're pretty late.
Yeah.
I thought you were earlier. I don't know why. Okay, so you're about the same time as me.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of imagining the 2009, 10, 11, 12 people. It was very much of like, oh, this cool technology. It's a bit cypherpunk. And they would, I've read the stuff on the Bitcoin talk forums. It's good conversation, right? It's hope and ideas. And then I discovered it first in 2013, but didn't really get involved. I was just using it on the Silk Road and messing around with it, and it just felt like something that people thought could make them rich or whatever. And then the fork wars happened, and that itself was almost like a fork in the road where it went like, okay, some of us need to be assholes about this to defend it. And I get that. But I think that's happened now, and I think people know the risks, and we shouldn't pretend it doesn't exist. But I feel like we're now in this new kind of paradigm whereby Bitcoin's clearly really important. We're seeing financial issues all around the world, massive inflation from double-digit here in the UK, which my first experience of that, to triple-digit in many places around the world, and various levels of corruption and whatever. So we're seeing a real need for it, but we've got to try and present it in a way that people find it palatable. And that's what I've been struggling with. That's where I'm like, I feel doing this job, I get to talk to a lot of people and I get to see how people talk about Bitcoin. And I feel like, how am I here and you're here? I feel like I'm in a different world to them.
Yeah. And there's been one attempt to, our friend Matt Belez created Hello Bitcoin in a series of educational videos trying to avoid price talk, avoid toxicity, but reach a broader audience. And I think they produced really high quality videos. Like Connor is the front man on a couple, and Aubrey Strobel spoke to one of them. And they produced really high quality videos and educational material, but its reach has been relatively limited. Doesn't really match, I think, the quality. It's missing a comedic element. So I think that's one thing we're hopeful for in the stuff we're producing now, that hopefully comedy will make it more shareable, more enjoyable, more entertaining. But it is hard. The reality is most people get into Bitcoin because of the price.
Come to the game, stay for the revolution.
Yeah. And so trying to, it can be earnest to try to avoid talking about that, but then you lose a lot of audience. So it is tricky, but I think we need a lot of experiments to try to figure out how to reach a broad audience and get to the purpose of Bitcoin beyond just the number goes up.
Well, so one of the mistakes I think a lot of us have made, or maybe not even a mistake, but I think the opportunity for the future is that I think we're all really good in the funnel work. You'll know this as marketing people. When somebody's in the funnel, we're really good. It's like, you're in the funnel. You want to know about Bitcoin. Here's the Bitcoin standard. Here's what Bitcoin did. Here's Bitcoin Miami. Here's the bullish case of Bitcoin. Here's all this stuff because you're in and you want to be in. I don't think we're doing a good job of getting them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Anywhere. I just don't think we are. I think other people do it for us sometimes. I think when Joe Rogan talks about Bitcoin, some people go, here we go. Let's hear about Bitcoin. Or, BlackRock might do a huge job for us now. But I think us in the Bitcoin space, I don't think we do a good job of bringing people in because we're all orange pilled already and we're acting like, are you a dummy? Why don't you know this?
I actually think BlackRock might block the filter for the first time ever.
Really?
I feel like that might get a lot of people exposure to Bitcoin, but never go down the rabbit hole.
That's a fair point.
I don't know if that will actually send people to what Bitcoin did, and then to Stefan Livera and Marty or whatever that sort of evolution is. I don't know if that'll happen. It'll just be I've got exposure to Bitcoin. That's enough for me.
Yep.
It may be indirectly.
But there's some, I'm sure.
In that if there is an ETF and the price goes bananas, then it will be in all the news stories. Then people will be talking about it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a net positive, but I would suspect the scope will be limited. I mean, it'll be like it's an asset. You should have, like you said, exposure, but then that's it. It won't talk about many other aspects of Bitcoin, including it becoming
freedom money.
a money, freedom money, being able to do payments. I doubt that'll be part of their narrative.
So how do you get people in the funnel then? Like, how do you find an audience outside of the people that are already engaged in Bitcoin?
Start a football team.
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
Maybe tell Haley, talk more about the film and sort of the narrative and
Yeah. So basically we created a 10-minute educational but humorous video about Bitcoin that features the big Bitcoin puppet that you hopefully saw if you're watching this show. If you're not, it's a 7-foot tall, big, orange, furry.
Do you know what we've not thought about?
People listening.
2/3 of people just listening. They're going to be like, what is going
I'm a
on
listener
here?
for podcasts.
Yeah.
I empathize with those
It's a
people.
good promotion to watch the YouTube
Yeah.
version
Yeah,
of
watch
the
the
show.
YouTube. Otherwise, this will make no fucking
We'll have to
sense.
put it in the intro.
Yeah, but people skip the intro. They're going to be like, who is this guy? What is going on?
Yeah. But yeah, if you have not seen the video, Here Comes Bitcoin on YouTube, TikTok, herecomes.bitcoin.org. There's a website, so you can go check it out. But yeah, so it's a 10-minute video that is funny. It kind of starts off with us, or I'm in the film. So I'm Bitcoin's publicist in the film and kind of talking about how Bitcoin needs a rebranding and kind of pitching how people see Bitcoin and different ideas to improve it. And we filmed this video in New York and kind of had a lot of fun. It was 4 pretty intense days of filming in the heat, in the rain. We were there. And then there's also a pretty big educational component to the film where Bitcoin's with this therapist going through different like value propositions of Bitcoin that maybe the general public don't fully understand.
If I could interject
Yeah.
one quick thing, the title of the movie is "Who is
Oh, yes.
Bitcoin?"
Who
To maybe
is
talk
Bitcoin?
about what why is that?
Who is Bitcoin? Sorry, forgot to say what it's called. It's called Who is Bitcoin? And we took that approach because there's a lot of what is Bitcoin content out there. So one, we didn't want to work on something that people have already worked really hard at doing. 2, the who part of Bitcoin is who is Bitcoin? Why should we care about Bitcoin? We wanted Bitcoin to feel a little bit more relatable. So that's kind of how this whole character approach came into fruition. But yeah, so that's kind of the film itself, and
It's a brand job.
it's a brand job, yeah.
Yeah, when the character Bitcoin doesn't take himself super seriously and has weaknesses and is like all of us.
Yeah.
and so that comes across in the film, I think.
Yeah.
My friend Tom Patterson, if he's listening, which he probably isn't, but me and Danny know him well. He's helped us out on various things, various projects, helped out with the football club. He's been exposed to Bitcoin as much as somebody could be from people who understand Bitcoin. He even bought a little bit at one point and then sold it. But he says to me constantly, he said, Bitcoin has a branding issue.
Mhm.
Because he follows me on Twitter and he's like, who are these fucking crazy, who are these crazy people? I was like, what do you mean? He's like these people are, this is his perception.
Yeah.
Because he lives in this normal, nice, fluffy world, which is standard world, living his life. He's he's fairly liberal.
I don't mean
smart
this in
guy.
a disparaging way, but he's the most traditional kind of person,
Yeah.
isn't he? He's just a very normal.
Normal bloke.
Yeah.
He's not over conservative or over liberal. He understands the basics of economics, which the important parts of economics. He also understands the importance of a civil society. He's a good person. He's got a great family. He is, if he was sat here now, you'd get on with him, you'd have a beer with him, you'd love him. And he's like, these, what the fuck are these people on about? These people are crazy. He's like, they turn me off Bitcoin. He's like, they make me not want to get involved in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive issue. We don't talk about it enough because I think there's a large, if you went into the top 100 well-known Bitcoiners, there's a large percentage of people who are pretty extreme in their views. And that's cool. That's their world. Fine. We haven't raised up enough other people who are like, yeah, by the way, I'm not so extreme in my views. We've done well with Jason Meyer in his book, who's introducing some progressive, but we haven't done enough to bring those up yet. And for those to be people you can talk to, we've got some, like you say, Alex is great, but it's heavy stuff. Troy Cross is great. But we just need more of those people because I think they're going to help introduce a different cohort. Because I think we'll orange pill normal people quicker than we will libertarian pill them.
Yeah. And also a lot of these extreme views, for many people, you don't start that way. You go down the Bitcoin journey and then you appreciate them more, but it takes time. You just don't start at that point.
Or you get there and you disagree with them. By the way, I think some of this stuff is parroted as fact, and I disagree with it.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think tax is slavery. is a really important one, which I know I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And people will say you're a status carc. I just disagree. I think, I have my views that like that isn't a good starting point for people. I think a good starting point is like we're taxed too much. Tax is too high, and this is why. Government's too big because this is why. I think you can slowly introduce people, but it's not this binary. Tax is slavery. It's like so I have to say that all tax is bad, otherwise I'm a slave. Like it's a binary trap, and I just think you're going to struggle to get people in. Personally, that's what I think.
Yep. I think one thing we're hoping to talk about too with the film. So this is one film from a small team. Hopefully people enjoy it, but we really see it just as an example of a new way to market Bitcoin or talk about Bitcoin. So we hope that it inspires other people to build, create even bigger and better things. And we also are hoping, again, this is not about Spiral. We hope that people within the Bitcoin community embrace it as part of Bitcoin culture. Hopefully this character is a hit and other people, build off of it. And we're very open to collaborations with other folks.
Is it our guy? Is it all of ours?
Yes.
Yes.
It's for the Bitcoin community.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do need to get him in a football shirt. I just don't know how you're going to fit it over him.
Have to get a custom
I'm just trying to think how you get it over him. It's not going to work. And so, how are you delivering this to everyone? How are you giving this gift? Because you're giving the video, but how are you going to turbocharge people? I'm looking at you, Haley.
Like, how are we going to bring Bitcoin physically to people?
Yeah, how are you going to so you're going to put the video out there, but if people because I'm going to, like me, with the football team, I immediately thought this would be so cool. I'd love to have him in the football club.
That would be very cool.
Can you imagine it? Him sat in the dressing room, going for a trial. Imagine him going for a trial at Real Bedford, right? On the phone to the manager, it's like, I played here. Yeah. And then getting him on, in the dressing room, getting changed, all the lads, but totally normal.
Yeah. Shooting a penalty kick.
In
the film, he's playing basketball.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
and also, I don't know if you guys know, in England, every football team has a mascot who will run around, getting the crowd going. Imagine him there at a Real Bedford game. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. So I naturally think that I want to do it. Obviously, it's a huge job getting him to the UK. So maybe we do it in Photoshop. But if people are like, I want to do some of this, have you made stuff available? Is there an asset library?
So there is a digital asset library. So we're launching a website, herecomes.bitcoin.org. And basically, we're uploading a lot of videos and photos and green screens and digital illustrations that people can download and kind of do what they wish. And we totally encourage that. So if you want to green screen Bitcoin into Real Bedford, that is a possibility. And then we hope that people will share those images into social channels so then we can kind of promote that and kind of, make it more of a community effort. In terms of getting Bitcoin physically to different locations, that's definitely something that we want to do. But this is this is all an experiment too. We're just starting this. So we don't know how many places we're going to send Bitcoin, but he'll go places. He came here.
There's a conference this week here.
There's a conference this week.
I know, yeah. He started in New York and now he's here, so.
He's now here in LA.
He can go places.
We just get him around the world. I should take him back I went to Lebanon. I could take him there. I think they'll be like, what the fuck is going on there?
We definitely want as many physical appearances as possible. There are challenges.
Yeah,
of course.
There are challenges.
Yeah.
As you guys have witnessed, we it's not like any of us can just throw it on and operate it. It's actually fairly sophisticated machine. And to really pull it off, you need a pretty good character who is behind the scenes.
It's only one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There's only one Bitcoin.
Yes.
Yes.
There's only one Bitcoin. Daddy.
Thank you for that.
So are you planning to do anything else with it, or is that it? You create it, here you go, take that world, do what you want with it, we're on to our next idea?
We definitely want to do something we want this character. This is not kind of a one and done thing with Bitcoin. What we do exactly next is a little bit, TBD. Kind of depends how the community reacts, which we hope really positively. We hope everyone gets really excited. We hope people want to collaborate. We want to encourage as much collaboration that as possible. And then we're going to kind of see from there if there's what kind of films or use, but this puppet is definitely going to be making more appearances.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeking collaboration. So if people have collaborative ideas, please reach out. Like we spoken with you already about Real Bedford, right? I love that idea. So, we'll certainly keep talking about that. That's one example. We've spoken with other people who have their own content and characters. And, there's opportunity to collaborate there, create new stories, comics, etc., which take their existing characters with this character. And I think we can come up with some really fun stuff there that, again, is entertaining and light, but touches on key Bitcoin concepts. I can imagine, we're happy to collaborate with products and brands too. Like this doesn't have to just be, open source projects. I mean, Rail Bedford's a business, right? So, if you're, a wallet product or any kind of exchange or service or whatever, if this feels like it's consistent with your brand, like reach out.
Yeah.
You can't control it though.
Yeah, you can't. So anyone can download the images and the illustrations online.
I mean, the actual physical Bitcoin
you can.
We control, but we don't want to control. I mean,
I know, of course.
You know what I mean?
What I'm saying is people might do some wild shit with this.
Yeah. So, which is consistent with the Bitcoin community, right? And just what Bitcoin, so I'm sure there'll be things that maybe make us cringe a little bit, but maybe other people will find that appealing. But hopefully people understand the type of audience we're going after with this and the the spirit of who Bitcoin is.
Well, I think it's bold and brave, and I really like him. And I think the video is great. Yeah, it is funny, and he's really good at it. If I could somehow get him to Bedford, to me that would be amazing.
Conference next year, maybe.
Maybe next year. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. Do we're doing a conference next year? Yeah, in Bedford.
Oh yeah.
But again, look, we're not actually.
Do you know when that is going to be?
11th and 12th of April, 12th
and 13th.
12th, 13th, but we're not having Bitcoin in the name. We're not even calling it a Bitcoin event. And this is the point. Like, it's trying to. I think we've got a lot of Bitcoiners talking to Bitcoiners about Bitcoin, right? Great, we're in the funnel. We're trying to do things now. Me and Danny, everything we talk about is how do we step above that? Whether it's the podcast and we go beyond that and do interviews with people who are not into Bitcoin and we don't talk about Bitcoin, an event which looks like a Bitcoin event but isn't called a Bitcoin event, or a football team, pub key. It's things like that where, because the great thing about the football, we have a meetup before the games. People come along, not a lot, but people come along because they're like, oh, I want to learn about Bitcoin. And they come because they're coming for the football anyway. Whereas if I did a Bitcoin meetup in Bedford Town Centre, no football, it's only going to be Bitcoin nerds who turn up. There's going to be no randoms. But doing it with the football, you just bring people in. I think we need more of that.
Yep, agreed. Haley, maybe speak a little bit about, like you mentioned, TikTok. And also we just talked about, like, hopefully the community embraces this and builds upon it. So what do you think, like, how can you imagine people with TikTok experience or wanting to create a TikTok experience collaborating with us and with Bitcoin?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're definitely looking for, social media experts and people who are really good on TikTok, which is a very hard thing to do. I feel like before this project, I didn't have as much appreciation for people who are really good at making TikTok videos or reels in general. It's a lot harder than images. So I have a new appreciation for people who are very good at TikTok content. So if you're good at making TikToks and you're excited about this video and you think our content is funny, we are going to have some videos that are already made. Please reach out. We'd love people to collaborate with this. We want this to go viral on TikTok. We want to reach as global as an audience as we can. And kind of the TikTok videos are going to be kind of just fun, funny, lean into the trends, not necessarily try to orange pill someone with educational content, but more just kind of get them to laugh, get them to have a positive impression of Bitcoin and share it to their friends and family, just to kind of slowly build it to be more memorable and relatable. So that's kind of the goal with TikTok versus Twitter or even the YouTube video itself, which is a lot longer and a bit more educational. Yeah.
If you look at TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the the Bitcoin content there is quite poor. I mean, at least on Twitter. On Twitter, maybe some of it's toxic, but it at least is like high quality in terms of like educational content. If you want to learn the deep concepts, it's good. A lot of these other social platforms, there's just a huge
I
gap.
never looked.
100%.
What is on there? Is it literally like? Is it people with like big grins and a chart behind them? Or
Yeah, it's like scammy price dudes mostly on TikTok. But it is really hard to like create a TikTok video that goes viral because you need it to have a good hook. Like you need it to be funny, and like people have such short attention spans on TikTok, like 2 seconds. And so that is like kind of a value that we see with this, like having a physical puppet, is it like brings life and character and kind of has a bit more like advantage to provide that hook.
the flashing keeps grabbing. I didn't know it flashed.
The block clock. Yeah. I can turn the flashing
and then
off.
it reflects off the
Yeah.
I'll turn
It's
it
like
off.
drawing because we went up $1,000. We're like, is it back up again? Something going on.
Well, I think like this is a really good opportunity for people to like contribute to Bitcoin in a new way besides just being a developer. Like I feel like I heard a lot of that, especially when I started working in the space as someone who's not a developer. You maybe feel like inferior, like where can I contribute and add value? And a lot of that is in education and content creation, which is great. But like now, because like different social media platforms have become more popular and there's kind of various, I mean, TikTok has like so many users. Like if you're really good at social media and you are really good at creating TikTok videos or even like funny, like you're good at copywriting, you're good at design, like this is a new way to like contribute and like actually bring probably more people in. Like you have a pretty big opportunity. So that's exciting for people that want to contribute to Bitcoin and aren't like technical or a developer.
And do you with this kind of hope, therefore, in some ways, this kind of broadens people's kind of ideas about how to communicate with Bitcoin? Do you want to inspire other people to do similar, broader, kind of more open, positive marketing for Bitcoin?
Totally. I mean, like even just for this project, like we've put a lot of time into like the marketing and the launch, which we like didn't really do before, like with the Puppet Jack documentary. We kind of just like posted it on Twitter and we're like, okay, it's going to go viral. Like Michael Saylor is going to tweet it. We're good to go. But now that like TikTok isn't like, you know, more popular, like we kind of had to be a little bit more like thorough in the way we like thought about our approach to launching this video. And so, yeah, I mean, like I would love to see other people kind of like get more creative in how they reach new people, and like really hoping that our video like provides like people, it's like some inspiration, like hoping that it takes off and inspires other company brands, individuals to like take a similar approach.
Yeah, so we won't be satisfied if this just is like a big hit for the day it's launched and then no one talks about it again, or it doesn't influence anyone else. That would not be success. But there's been a lot of hard work put into this and some really talented folks working on it. And I think we're attached to an important theme, which is reaching a broader audience in a new way. So to us, success is, I mean, it'd be hard to measure this, but reaching millions of people who are aware of Bitcoin but only know it from like a few news headlines, and actually influence them. You know, educate them on even just one point. You know, and you know, change their mind or pique their curiosity. That's the first goal. The second goal is to influence others in Bitcoin on new ways to market Bitcoin, explain Bitcoin, and for them to reach new audiences. And that can be companies, brands, educational efforts, open source projects, etc.
And so if people want to find out more about this, where they go? What's Here Comes Bitcoin, was it?
HereComesBitcoin.org.
It's not Who is Bitcoin.org.
Who is Bitcoin is the name of the video.
Okay.
But the social handle for like the website and YouTube and TikTok is Here Comes Bitcoin. So yeah, HereComesBitcoin.org. You can learn, like, you can see all the assets that we have there that you can download and have some fun with. You can find the link to the YouTube video and all our different social media.
Community forum as well.
The community forum, yeah.
And is there any part of this we've not asked you about that you wish we had?
I think we've covered
Everything.
Yeah, we're just hoping people are excited and like, you know.
Well, we are. We got the exclusive. So
Yeah.
we're excited.
I hope people laugh, have some fun, share with their friends and family.
Yeah. So hope. Yeah. So I guess our hope people like it, share it, and then also looking for collaborators. So if you see any way that you'd like to build on this, extend it, work with us, do reach out.
Okay, awesome. Well, listen, look, thanks for doing it with us. It's a surrealist experience. And like I say, it was up there with Berkoe. It's like the two of them. I don't know which was weirder, but it was brilliant. I think the character's great. I think the work you're doing is great. I love everything Spiral does, to be honest. So keep doing your thing. We will drop your handles in the show notes. Just Haley, tell people where to follow you because they'll know Steve.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm H Berkoe, my last name.
Not on TikTok.
No, not really. But
Nothing you want to share?
yeah, I'm not that good at creating TikTok. I have tried, so
I've made one TikTok.
It's hard
with my daughter, and it's terrible.
Yeah,
It's so bad. Oh no, we did one
in Miami with your daughter.
Yeah, I'm getting my TikTok. All right. Anyway, listen. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. I'm glad we can make this work this day. It was a tight fit, but always love seeing you, Steve, and great to meet you, Haley, in person. And yeah, good luck with this.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.